Something is wrong.
Yes.
Wrong with the government in which we live. Wrong with the leaders that lead us. Wrong with us in the way we respond to our enemy and each other. We are dying every day, and we're in a hell of a condition because we've made a covenant with a government that is death itself, with a people that have lied to us, deceived us, and murdered us, and rubs us good on one side and kicks us in the behind on the other.
The governor also said that if another march takes place today without a permit, the police should move in again.
All over the state of Georgia, we are fed up with this shit.
Can't you open your eyes and see the house is burning? We are a full nation now, and we gotta stop thinking like Negroes and colored people and shines and ham-bones, and start thinking like free men and women who don't want to live on a plantation no more.
Thank you guys for joining us again on another Table Talk conversation. Today, as you can see, we got multiple people here standing in power. We have Darius Crazy, we have Pastor Eddie Walton, Bishop Carrie Orr, we have ISUPK. You have to tell me your name again.
Officer Largun.
Officer Largun.
Officer Natasha.
Officer Natasha. We have Eric Ingram Bay, right? We have Jeremy Casey. We also have Chester Maurice Ayers in the building. And each one of us represent a different organization and a part of the Melanated community. And what we're doing here today is just kind of first of all, my goal is to show people that we all can come together and have a conversation, even though we're not from the same background. You know, because communication is important. And that's one thing that we do lack in this community that I see, that we can't get together. You know, we can't agree. And, you know, you go to where you're comfortable. You go to where you've always went, but you don't go past those boundaries where, well, these people do it this way. We ain't going over there with them because that. But if we're brothers and sisters all in one body, we should be able to tolerate each other at least for 2 hours and have a conversation. So what I want to do is, from your walk and from your organization and where you stand in the community, can you just pinpoint out some of the issues that you see that we all can come together and be a solution, or come up and brainstorm on a solution of how we can build together, let's say that. All right, let's start with Chester. Can you just tell us who you are and what organization you represent?
I am director of Oak Park Boys and Girls Club. I've been in Decatur all my life. I'm 48 years old. I live crosstown, which is Old Decatur, by Old Town Decatur by definition. I've been there my entire life. I actually reside in the home where I grew up now. What else did you need?
What's your mission? What is y'all's mission? What your mission, personally?
My personal mission is based off scripture. Casher cares, for he cares for you. My mission is to basically, I'm like a networker. I try to find a solution for everyone, the average problem solutions, to empower the youth, to be a spokesperson, an advocate for them, because today in today's society we don't have someone that actually just speaks out for them. Right. So if I can find the problem and I can direct them to someone to fix that problem, that's what I am. Just the average basic problems of it may be single parent home. If I can find them a father figure, I do things like that. If I can be that father figure, I'm there in the going to the schools. I'm located inside of a school, so therefore I'm probably one of 2 males in the school. So all day long I go within the school and try to tie down disciplinary problems just by talking to kids, not by being a stronghold on them, things of that nature.
That makes sense. Okay, Mr. Jeremy.
Hey, so glad to be here. My name is Jeremy Casey. I'm originally, I do live in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. I've been working here in Decatur for since about 2019. Alcohol and drug counselor. Currently work as an HR for our church daycare centers. I also work with Decatur Youth Services as a program coordinator for a program called Family Matters. We get referrals from DHR, juvenile probation, self-referrals, churches, and things of that nature to help with reunification, to help with communication, building. If you guys don't know, parents have a different language than their children. So I kind of stand in the middle. I believe I'm young enough. I have 3 daughters myself, so I'm young enough to understand what the kids feel like, but also old enough to understand what parents feel like. So I kind of help bridge that gap. When you talk about problems and issues that kids are facing or people are facing in general, alcohol and drugs is a major one, and also deal with parenting as well. I just believe that parents are a core, should be a core thing when it comes to contributing positively to our kids. If the truth be told, they bring a negative connotation or negative influence to our kids. So I try to address those things and to be a big advocate for them. Because sometimes people just need the right insight, right revelation, or right information to get them where they need to be.
I like that. I like that.
My name, excuse me. My name is Eric Inglerbay. I am the president of a religious organization called Moorish National Republic of Peace. And what I do is basically I teach self-autonomy based upon our melanated beings, no matter what that looks like for you, and helping people understand their God-given rights. All law is built under God's law first and foremost. Nobody is greater than God's law. So just teaching in that form, no matter the walk, whatever organization you have or whatever, just going back and helping us understand what the church really was at that point in time. It was actually our government and supposed to be our government, our land, our cars, whatever, everything was supposed to be given to God, but we chose to give it outside of that. So I teach people how to fall back into that and to truly live into your God-given rights and exercising that, because you can truly do that. And just teaching people economics, saving people from foreclosure, evictions, all by the word of God. And it's real. We just have to learn how to get back to that. So, and I say what the issue is, it's pretty much just us not truly understanding ourselves, who we actually are, what God actually made us. I mean, we were formed from the dust of the ground. God breathed the breath of life into us. So therefore, we became a living being. We became the law itself. So with that being said, the law is written in there. It's our duty to carry it. If we don't carry it, then, you know, it's pretty much like it's done away with. So if you don't know your rights, you can't assert them. So that's the area that I work in.
That's big. Okay.
All right, we the ISUPK on the Command and General behind. The ISUPK means Israelite School of Understanding Practical Knowledge. And what we do with that practical knowledge is we show our people that the Bible is the only answer for blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, and that they are the chosen people of God. And with that information, you learn how to live your day-to-day life. We cover every aspect of issues with our people, from gun violence to marriage counseling, child issues. We cover it all. We do a food program. Like right now, we have a food and clothing program all over the country. Every weekend, we're feeding somewhere in the country. Under Command and General Muhammad. And that's the main thing we're showing our people, that the Bible has been taught to a fairy tale. And we're bringing it back to where, you know, you can use it in everyday life. The answer is right there. It just hasn't been taught to our people correctly, and it was on purpose. You know, it goes back to hundreds and thousands of years ago. This was on purpose to get us off track. And our job is to get our people back on track under one banner. So that's our main purpose.
I appreciate it.
I'm Kerry Orr, ordained Bishop of High Ground, always about an assembly, where our central location is in Columbus, Ohio. I pastor here at the place where we are now, True Faith Ministries in Decatur, Alabama. Our goal and our mission is to build people in their minds, in their spirits, and in their bodies. Our thing is to understanding your purpose, and you have to understand the difference between your purpose and your gift. And many people trying to operate out of purpose through their gift. You cannot operate out of purpose through your gift, because your purpose and your gift are two different things. And when we start trying to put all of them together and trying to operate in those particular things, we become to be confused. And that's why a lot of people are confused. And then I break out to understand why I have an organization that is called Beyond the Break, which was birthed in 2019, where people begin to start giving up, people start to throwing in the towel. But it was given, God had given me the vision to birth a ministry that is called Beyond the Break, which now reaching beyond 2019. Now it gets to a point to reaching beyond the break of each one of our lives. If everyone sitting in this room, sitting in this chair, had a place in their life that they were broken. But many of us got over it, but then there was a lot of us that did not get over it. There's a lot of people that's still in between, whether they want to get up or they want to stay down. This is what the Beyond the Break ministry begins to deal with. Also, the Ahead Academy, where we take children from 6 months old all the way up until 14 years old, and seeing the difference of how we were raised and then how they are raised now. So there's a difference in a lot of things that's going on. So there's a lot of irons in the fire that we kind of do, but to God be the glory for all of it. So we have the woman-to-woman's conference, we have the man-to-man conference, where the woman-to-woman conference deals with the woman, amen. The man-to-man conference deals with men, situations and problems, and then the Beyond the Break incorporates everyone. So there's a lot of things that are going on, there's a lot of work to be done, and we want to just do our part of what's going on. It's kind of what I do.
Thank you.
Well,
And this is my father, you guys. All right, come on, I'm sorry.
Good. My name is Pastor Eddie Walton. I'm the pastor of New Beginnings Covenant Ministries in Limestone County, which was actually birthed in Decatur, but we moved. It was amazing how my whole life being called into ministry, I think I was probably voted least likely not to succeed, least likely not to accomplish anything, and I really was not supposed to be a man of God. It's amazing how God started dealing with me personally. I would attend church, and I would sit, and I would see some, I would hear some, and I never really could understand. And I felt a pull from God myself to start reading and studying the Word of God. Then I started saying, how can I apply this in my everyday life? And by that, it started to the point to where I felt God was calling me to begin to teach the Word of God. And I said, God, as if God was listening to me, I said, God, if I do what you're calling me to do, when I begin to do this, I need for you to assist me in understanding revelation. I need for you to give me understanding, and I need for you to be able to equip me to teach the Word of God that a person can take it, receive it, and apply it. And that was the call of God that was on my life. And so being ignorant to purpose, being ignorant to gifts, being ignorant to who God is, being ignorant to who we are in God, those was things that I wanted to deal with. Those was things that I wanted to share. And so God birthed New Beginnings Covenant Ministries to start doing that. Some of the issues that I'm starting to see now, it's amazing how God is pulling me in different areas. Like I'm excited about fighting for our kids. If we begin to look at what's going on in the educational system, we need to be more involved. It's time that we get our parents involved. It's time that we begin to challenge one another to understand how important it is for you to be present in your kids' life, for you to know what's going on with your kids. It's time that we start challenging parents to say, look at where you are. What would you do different? How could you make yourself better? And start instilling that into their kids. And I think one of the things that I really am excited about is God has given me this thing to challenge people to be present. Your presence means something.
Right.
Showing up means something. And sometimes that's all you have to do.
Exactly.
Because as a child growing up in a single parent home that played sports, when I would look in the stands and see my mom, I would be so excited because of who she was, because of the call, because of her responsibilities, she couldn't be there that much. But man, the difference her presence made. And if we can challenge people just to be present.
I appreciate that. All right.
All right, I'm Darius Creighton. I was actually born and raised in Decatur, Alabama, but I'm currently a partner at the law firm of Ferris, Riley & Pitt in Birmingham, Alabama. And our entire mission is delivering justice. I mean, to the point where that's our website, it's deliveringjustice.com. Our whole goal is to deliver justice to individuals who were harmed by the recklessness or the negligence of someone else, no matter who the other person is. So we have to focus on wrongful death. We have to focus on accidents, car accidents, that sort of stuff. But it's sort of anything under the umbrella of personal injury is stuff that we handle. And unfortunately, in the civil world, the only justice that you can really get through the law is money, right? Unfortunately, a lot of ways, money is the only form of justice that you can get through the law. So our job is to make sure that these families, these individuals are fairly compensated for the injuries, for the wrongful death that they had to endure. So that's our mission, and that's what I am.
Before we go forward, I had a few people ask, are you Pastor Darius Cravey? Or because they want to know.
No, I am not.
Okay, you're the son, right?
I'm the son, that's my dad. Yeah.
Okay. Just clear that up.
Yeah, please, I am not. That's good.
All right.
I'm Anissa Sophia Lodge. I'm one of the co-founders here in Decatur, Alabama for Standing in Power. We are a Black social justice group. We specialize in civic engagement and community engagement and crisis response. Our mission is to eradicate racial injustices done to Black people in all systems, such as education, healthcare, police, violence, and so on. And I've been in Decatur all my life. I'm probably the 6th generation here. Terrence has also been here all of his life as well. We're still trying to figure out if we're cousins, but anyway. But he's our other co-founder. I have many roles outside of the being a co-founder. I'm an organizer, I'm an activist. We have impacted families who have lost loved ones due to police violence, white supremacy, and aggression, and amongst many other things. I think that outside of our mission, our overall goal is to make sure that we liberate and keep Black people safe.
My name is Terrence Atkins. I'm one of the co-founders of Standing in Power.
Speak up a little bit. I'm sorry.
Y'all should put the mic on me.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll talk loud.
For real.
My name is Terrence Atkins. I'm one of the co-founders of Standing in Power. I'm also a member of the American Descendants of Slavery Advocacy Foundation, where I'm a member of Outreach and Chapter Resources and Development. Like Nisa said, I've been in Decatur all my life. We've been in Alabama since Alabama been Alabama. What we do at Standing in Power, like this, I'm not going to repeat everything Nisa said. She did a really good job, so that's what we do. Besides that, I am a reparations advocate, and I'm a policy hawk. I'm a historian to a certain degree, a self-trained historian. And that's what I do.
And alongside y'all being here forever, your parents and grandparents served in some pretty, what is the right word? Impactful events. Y'all want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, so my father was one of the lead organizers and activists during the Tommy Lee Hines movement in 1978. And Terrence's grandfather was as well. They looked at him and called him soldier. He was a Black man who was from Decatur, but he fought in the Vietnam War and came home. And Tommy Lee Hines was a Black man, 5'2", 120 pounds. He had the IQ of his IQ was 35. He had the mental intelligence of a 46-year-old. He could not read, could not write. He would only really repeat what you may have say to him. So if you said hi, he would repeat hi. If you said food, he would repeat food. He was very childlike, but he was accused of raping 3 white women here in Decatur. And because the Black community knew who Tommy Lee Hines was, because they took care of him, all he did was go to church, and he would go to school, and he would come home. And so when they knew he was accused, they knew it was done. They knew it wasn't right, they knew it was done illegally, he was falsely accused. And so for 18 months, my father and his grandfather,
and the community.
Boycotted Decatur. They organized heavily. They slept in Port Malice for 2 weeks. They slept in front of the city hall. They got a lot of organizations around the United States to come here because at that time it wasn't just, we're protesting, it was violence. They were going up against the KKK, not just from here in Decatur, but surrounding areas. They would burn crosses. A white woman was killed during that movement. A Black lady was shot in her jaw. My father had a $55,000 assassination attempt on him. And they actually came head-to-head down to downtown Decatur. And it was extreme violence that day. But the black community didn't waver, they didn't give up for 18 months straight. They went hard for something behind.
Yeah, and I'm proud of y'all because y'all are doing such a phenomenal job at carrying on their legacy and moving that same energy in the Justice for Steve Perkins movement. And to know that the community stands behind y'all just the same way they did back then and much better now, I love that, you know, and continue to fight the good fight. All right. We are the House of Wealth. Really, we all are now that y'all here. Welcome home. Congratulations. The House of Wealth is an entrepreneur resource agency, but our mission and goal is to rebuild fractured communities, and that's by making or creating healthier businesses in our black community, making sure that we have food, making sure that people are aware that we can do it ourselves. We don't have to ask people for anything. Making sure that our kids are educated to a higher standard and they're not just given books to read and keep busy. Making sure our elderly are properly taken care of. A lot of times people see the House of Wealth and the first thing they see is the gold W and the wealth, and they're like, ooh, I got money. No, we ain't got that yet, we gonna get it. And, you know, we are the money and we attract cash and we believe that. But the substantial part of the House of Wealth is the house. The parts that make us whole. The part that makes the house and we generate wealth. The house is a body that each one of us plays a part. You know, it's like Thanksgiving dinner. You bring the potatoes, you bring the green beans, you bring the turkey, and she bring the sweet potato pie. We can eat forever, but what happens when everybody brings potatoes? You know, what are we all doing the same thing? You know, so I feel like with all of us coming from different angles and different walks, and we can meet on a common ground, we can build a better, sturdier foundation. And that's what the House of Wealth does. It's just making sure that y'all have a safe place. We all have a safe place that we can go and grow, right? And I'm Robin Watkins, and I am the host of Table Talk Conversation. So the first thing I kind of want to talk about, and I'm gonna give y'all the points some things that I see as issues in the melanated community. Some persistent issues within the black community that hinder advancement include systematic racism. That's a thing. That's a big thing. That's one of the first things that I really want to talk about. Economic disparities, lack of access to quality education, disproportionate incarceration rates. That's one I really want to talk about. Second, if somebody can chime in on that. Healthcare disparities, of course, drug and alcohol abuse, and mental health. Mental health is the third thing I kind of want to hit on because a lot of these people do not get therapy. Like you mentioned therapy or counseling, and it's like a crime. And like, am I crazy? You think I'm crazy? Yes, I do. I do. We all are, but we all are. But it's how do you wish to handle that? Like, are you going to take care of yourself? You know, and oh, I'm fine, I'm good. No, we've been sweeping things under the rug all our lives. And, you know, when it's time to clean up, and you have to pull that rug up and all that stuff there, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get overwhelmed. And you gotta go beyond that break, right? You have to find people that's like, you know what, let me talk to somebody about this. Like, it may not be normal. You're not normal. Just because you don't meet the standard of others in society, that does not mean that something's wrong with you. You're just different. And that's okay. And to find someone that you can speak to or talk to, and they're okay with you being okay with who you are, that's good. You can grow there. So talking about mental health, that's going to be something I want to kind of hit on if y'all can help me with that. And limited political representation. That's something I want to talk about too. Just how do we get people like us, and I'm not going to be afraid to say black people because I'm going to just say it, okay? How do we get more black people in positions of power, like so that we can make decisions for our aunties' kids or our children's kids, because the judges, they're white. We're not gonna play around, and the ones that are black and they're whitewashed, and they're making decisions based on what's best for the system and not what's best for the people. So we are the people, and I just kind of want to hear from you guys. Number one on systematic racism. Whoever. Do y'all see that? It's not a question. It's just open. Do y'all have anybody experienced it? Anybody got anything they can say to encourage someone who has experienced it? If not, it's
One thing I can't speak on is, like you said, the first thing we have to do is not be afraid to talk about it.
Yes.
I think we at a point now where we overly concerned with getting the money and keeping the job and keeping certain things. You have to be willing to lose some things for the greater good.
True.
And we've allowed other races of people to usurp authority over us because we don't talk about it. And when we go sit at their table, we always lose what we had. You know, you can look at a simple project like the Negro League. You know, we would have better athletes over there, but we chose to go over there and we praised that. But what happened to the Negro League? They're just now bringing out records that they broke a long time ago. So we shortchanged ourselves a lot of times by going to other people's table. You know, at the time it may have felt like a great idea, but it just hurt us in the long run to the point where we can't even talk about it, to where you really can't even bend the knee. Right? You know what I'm saying? We had a brother just get killed here. What's the brother's name? Steve. You know, we stopped bending the knee because a celebrity, Jay-Z, told us to stop doing it because he took a job. We got to stop doing that. We got to stand with each other. Anytime it comes to that, we cannot go against each other just to get a greater good. And we got to fight that spirit of wanting to be quiet about it.
Right.
So that's the only way to really stop systematic racism. Let them know that we know you're doing it, and we're not going to continue dealing with that.
Right.
Right.
Yep. And to be in a space where we don't need your job.
Right.
First of all, if they fire me today, I should be able to call one of y'all and say, hey, anybody? Can somebody? You know, it's too many of us in here that have abilities and hobbies and businesses and working for companies in high places that we scared to lose a job.
Right.
You know, I should be able to need a blanket and send it to you for $10 60 times and at least take care of each other. You know, that's the least we can do. If we can't talk, just at least take care of each other. So I like that.
I think one of the
I was just going to say, to piggyback on what you said, Dr. Claude Anderson in the Powernomics, the National Plan of for Black America, he talks about the difference between the group thinking and the individualistic thinking, and how our tribe has to come to a place where we kind of like Sambo is the term that he uses, this individualistic mindset, because it doesn't benefit us to just think about ourselves. So returning back to that group thought, I believe is a great way to combat that systematic racism.
And I want to piggyback off of you real quick because I'm glad that you use Sambo instead of saying at the time. And I'm a key proponent of reading and education and things like that. So we have to educate each other. We can't be quiet on what's going on. Like if we're in a place where we are, like we should be able to speak on our issues as citizens of this country. Like everybody else gets to do it. Like the brother was saying earlier, we have other races of people that come in and they use our story. Like the Dreamers. That's Martin Luther King's dream, right? But they'll put that on and we'll be quiet and silent and we won't even use the history that we have in this country to try to push ourselves forward or propel ourselves from the place that we are now. So
I think that we have to get back to purpose to even anything that probably we'll talk about today anyway.
Speak up a little bit.
I think we have to get back to purpose, meaning that anything that we'll speak on today, seriously, is going to reside in purpose.
Yes.
Like, because that purpose will change the systematic racism. Our purpose will cause us to, what we're doing now, to sit here. We all driven by the purpose that we have. You know what I'm saying? So, and all our purpose is what, like you said, the greater good. That's that purpose that we have to reside in to kill the systematic racism.
Right.
We rely on us. Like, the only reason it's a systematic of racism is because we're dependent.
Exactly.
We stop being dependent, then that don't even exist to us.
Yes.
You know, so.
One thing that I thought about that you said at the introduction is that when God came, that it was all about the government. So the biggest thing to transition your word from purpose is returning back to this kingdom thought construct, right? This kingdom government, so that we are operating in a holistic capacity. Because let's be honest, this world is not our source. You know, so returning to that kingdom thought can help to make us unafraid to be able to stand in power.
One of the things that I've been share with a lot of people is that we need to be cause motivated. Let the cause unite us. I mean, there's a lot of diversity here. But within all of the diversity, a lot of the challenges and a lot of the issues, they're all the same. So we have to, I think somebody said deny, we have to separate, and then be motivated by the cause. And when you're motivated by the cause, you want to win. And if one win, all of us win.
Right.
And then we can go back to our different tribes or go back to our different communities. But when we come together, it's about getting this cause done.
I like that. I like that. And even then, we may not even want to go back to. We may bring it all home because what is a back when you forward? You know, just keep moving, and you don't have to go back and get anything because, like you said, the cause will unite us. So the people will see you moving in a direction and see your light shining, and they're gonna gravitate towards you. Let's talk about being present. I know you said you wanted to hit that. So what is it? What does it look like to you? Being present. Showing up.
Showing up.
I think you said before you were speaking at something that Standing in Power was hosting, and you said your presence is a superpower. And I say the same about like mental health and things. I'm like, bipolar, schizophrenia, that's all superpowers. You just have to learn how to use it for your benefit. You know, you're different. You're not like everybody else. You can't eat the same foods as everyone else. You can't consume the same energy as everybody else. But you gotta know who you are and know what you came to do and do what you gotta do to do that. Being present to me is I'm not thinking about yesterday. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm not thinking about what we gonna do. Okay, so what if? No, I'm just gonna be exactly what I am right now, and I'm gonna say exactly what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking and what I believe right now. And I can feel all of y'all. I can hear y'all listening to me. And those are things that come when you're present. You can hear, you can see, you can think freely, and you don't have all that clutter in your mind where it's, oh, what if? And you may, but you will hear that voice of God is so much more clear and fine-tuned if you just be present, be calm. Don't move unless you just have to. And you hear when to move and when to speak, when to stop, you know, who to gravitate towards and who not. So I appreciate this. So what does being present look like for y'all in y'all's world?
Being present looks like to me is self-care. Because you can't be present if you don't take care of yourself. A lot of times when we get distracted or we get unfocused or we have these days where we don't want to be bothered and things of that nature, is because we haven't taken care of ourselves. We let the outside world influence how we behave. And so it's important that we take the time to disengage and really focus on who you are and be by yourself. That's what I think being present is. I really feel like being by yourself and taking time to care for yourself is important.
If I could. One thing I was going to say also, along what you were saying about being present, one way that we be present inside the ISUPK under Commander Jim Yohana is by being present for the people that need us, right? Being present for our community, right? If they need clothing, they need food, being there to give them those clothes, give them that food, teach them skills that they need when they come out of prison, right? Teach them the skills that they need if they're coming new into the world, they don't know what to do. That's how you be present, by helping where they need help.
I agree with him on that because this is just like all of us in here being present with our resources.
Yes.
You know, if whatever that resource may be, just be present with it for our community. Because I love the word he used, for the greater good. Like everybody got that mindset. I don't care where you come from. Like when I look at y'all, I'm thinking about how can I put food on your table. That's it.
Right.
How can I be of service to you? Nothing else. I know I'm good because I'm protected by God, but at the same time, if you in need, what can I do to help? That's it.
Right. I think that goes back to being a really good helpmate. Right. You know, that original thought construct of a helpmate is to serve those that you come in contact with. So if you always thinking about how can I be a good helpmate to my brother, how can I be a good helpmate to my sister, and make sure that I'm the family motto, I believe, is leave things better than when you came. So every time your thought construct is about leaving things better than when you came, you know, it makes you a better servant and a more present individual.
Very present. Yes. But that's the same as it'll lead the other person better too, because it's like, I let you use my car and you brought it back on a full tank of gas. And you detailed it. I'm calling you like, hey, you want my car today? You know, you left it better than you brought it, you know, then you got it. So that's a concept that can go both ways. And in this system that we are currently in, somebody got to lose for somebody to win. And that's not always the case. In our house, it's win-win. You know, if you clean my car and you done put gas in it, we both won, didn't we? You got where you needed to go, I got what I needed, and that I didn't even know I needed, and now we good. It doesn't always have to be somebody got to lose for somebody to win. And that mentality is just, it's not universal. So, go ahead, yeah.
So I think when Pastor Walton was talking about showing up, I think a lot of people are showing up. And my brother was talking about the purpose. But I think what happens when we all show up, we lose the purpose. And we start having a power struggle.
Right.
And a lot of racism is not out there. The racism begins to come within ourselves. We become the divide amongst ourselves. And then every time we split the pie, the power weakens. And then what's sad about black people is we always try to intimidate the next black person. You ever notice when you walk up on a black person, they never greet you, even with a friendly thing, they have to have this, well, you was always taught as a black person, black woman, listen, okay, don't let nobody punk you. But now we got love, but if I'm coming to you in love, and then you got this girl, whether I'm a pastor or whatever, I'm still a man. So we have sometimes got a lot of things that we're throwing across the fence that they're doing to us. No, they're throwing the bone, and we got all of us trying to get one bone. We lose the purpose. We're showing up. Even the situation that we're in, even now, everybody is showing up, but then people start losing their focus and they start losing their purpose. Now everybody is fighting for self-gain. And then what we fighting for self-gain, what we actually showed up for is the thing that suffers. Because now we done forgot about everything else. It's about, I'm gonna make sure I'm right. Pastor Walton gonna make sure. This is not just happening in the community, it's happening in the churches. Church people don't even fellowship no more. We can't even have a good church service because they're this denomination, this denomination, this denomination, this denomination, and this denomination. If I'm going to Birmingham and you take 65 north and go around this way and I take 67 and get right here, if we all make it to heaven, praise the Lord.
Right.
I don't care which route you took to get there, I'm just trying to get there. Your route may not be good for me. I want to take the shortcut. Some of y'all want to take the scenic route. But what I'm saying to us is the fact that I believe that we're showing up. If we look at it in our mind, we're showing up with feeding the people. Then we feed them, and it's always going to be somebody that lose the focus that want to take all the credit. And once they want to take the credit, they got to go back to the other side and snitch to get them people to kill you. This ain't nothing new. If you did history, this is not anything new. They can't kill you.
Right.
But they can get the inner circle to expose you, to allow us to kill each other. So my question is, if we're going to show up, what are we going to do? It's easy for you to show up when it's just you. But what you going to do when all of us show up?
No, I'm sorry, let me cut you off.
How are you going to handle it when all of us show up?
That's a good question.
No, so like, yes, I think one thing when you bring it out is important, right? Is when we show up, right? And it's not just one, all of us show up, how we operate, right? And I think we got to ask that question is, what is our morality like? How are we going to deal with each other, right? Because what we learn from this oppressor is how, when I meet you, I'm gonna meet you with that rah-rah. I'm gonna meet you with that not brotherhood. But we learn that from this oppressor. We learn this from the society and the culture around us. But we got to separate from that culture and get back to our culture, our way of life. Now, when I see my brother, I'm gonna treat him like a brother. I'm embracing with that righteous spirit. But that spirit can't come from this oppressor. And we can't learn from this.
It really sound like it's kind of like twofold. I was hearing one part as far as like the mental health issues when it comes down to betrayal trauma. Like we've all been betrayed. One time I said that there is, when it comes down to us being sold into slavery, we have a betrayal trauma with the people that look like us. You know, how did we even get here in the first place? And then the other situation that I think it comes down to is that meritorious manumission, where we have to crucify those individuals when they are feeling like covetous, is what I believe you described. When they are feeling covetous, that we be like, you know, bro, you need to knock yourself down a peg or two. This is not that. You know, get back to that African proverb. You know, if one wants to go fast, go along, but if we want to go far, we go together.
Amen. Right.
And if I could, the prison part is a physical and a spiritual thing.
Yes.
Like, you know, as the scriptures say, study to show yourself approved.
Yes.
So if you're going to show up, you need to be properly equipped to do the job.
Yes.
Like in Hebrews 5 and 12, it said, the time we ought to be teachers, we have to be taught first. And a lot of times, a lot of stuff we were taught growing up, even to our 60s and 70s, need to be re-taught correctly. Because it's going to be an issue if one person is talking to a child that, you know, we got to catch the children first. If one person is saying, we are these people, one person is saying, we are these people, that child confused, and all he going to do is go off his emotions.
Right.
And you got to be equipped to be, like what we do as priests, we do councils daily. Like, somebody need to be counseled. We have a hierarchy of a command, from Command Junior Hunter on down to counsel people daily. And if, you know, our generals' phones, they never get rest because it's always something in our community that we have to be available for. The best ability is availability. And the spiritual part, if I could touch on that, is another scripture I got in my head, Proverbs 14 and 12. Hope deferred, make your heart sick. A lot of times we'll be sold a dream, and then we so busy looking at that dream, we're not right in front of us. We got to deal with the fact that there are people against us, you know, and like that's the reason. Like you think about the time they had that Popeye's chicken sandwich.
Yep.
They wasn't fighting over a chicken sandwich. They was fighting because we have issues being in the same room with each other because everybody is oppressed. Wow. Everybody got something personal at home that they come together. That anger you're gonna lash out at your brother because that's all you see.
Right.
They stick us in these corners called projects, and you know we hate each other when they put us there from the beginning.
Right.
That's where that hate and being able to be used against each other comes from, because we don't know. Okay, there's a whole big world where. You know, think about it. They don't have to have these summits. They don't have to sit down like this. They got it. We are the ones in this time in 2024 with all our accomplishments. We still got to sit down and figure out what's next. And that's the problem we have to acknowledge first.
Right.
And I think, like, I talked to Anissa a little bit, and I was talking like, it's not that we're divided so much as an ethnic group, Black Americans. We're not as divided as other Black ethnic groups. We just don't have good conflict resolution. So when it comes to us being in a room together, and we all want the same thing, we all want freedom, liberation, we all want our families to be safe, all of these things. It's just that when it comes to us discussing how to get there, that's where the problem comes. Because everybody wants, like you were saying earlier, everybody wants to be that head person, everybody wants to be that smart person. And it's a conflict in between us. It's a struggle because it comes from us not passing the torch. It comes from us not passing the torch historically to younger generations because of our lack of having in this country. So a lot of times, like older generations and people who've been in positions for a long time, they don't transfer power. So we don't understand how to deal with conflicts because we haven't been in those situations as small people, as young adults, older people, until we get into these older stages. Now we get into a place where we're setting our ways, we're here in our 30s and 40s, and we're just having this conversation, right? So all of us are really set in our ways, and when it's like, okay, let's put it on the table, let's get a Black agenda, let's get these things together, and everybody has their head honcho mentality and they're stuck in their ways, until we learn to back down and love one another, like we were saying. Like all of this is coming full circle, until we back down and learn to love one another and that we're all in this together as a group of people. Like that's the problem that I feel like we're dealing with. We're not divided because we all want to go the same way. It's just we don't know how to handle each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And then we expect others to handle us. We can't
Yeah.
even handle each other.
And we can't handle ourselves either.
Right.
Like
True.
mental
True.
health. We're going to
That's
talk
a
about
real
mental health, but
thing.
that's another thing too.
But I think a lot of times too, we're really intimidated by one another. We become to be intimidated by one another. I like the scripture that you said, but it also says, "Be not many masters." But we want to be everything to everybody. You can't be too many masters. But one thing you got to do is you got to master the thing that you know.
Yeah.
We want to be a lot of masters, but we don't master not one thing that we're trying to be a master of. We want to know everything, but we don't know nothing. We want to talk a lot, but you keep talking, we'll find out you don't really know what you think you know.
Right.
So the thing about that is, even with the body, we talked about the body, we talked about the team. The body has certain things that it's going to do. The hand cannot be jealous of the foot. The heart cannot be jealous of the brain. But it has to have enough pride within itself to say, you know what, that's not my calling. That's not something that I do. You know, I know I'm a man of God. I know that I preach the word of God. I was not intimidated by anybody preaching at that courthouse. That's not my calling. My calling, I stay right back, right there, and be right there to show up and let you know I got you. And for me to preach on sit-all
Presence, yep. Presence.
You know, I'm gonna be going somewhere else. And the Lord said, whatever. He doesn't know what in the world are you talking about? I'm out. When you talk about, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna when you're talking about the world, is the Lord was dealing with me. When you deal with things, everything is fighting. There's two worlds that's fighting against each other. When you deal with certain things, when you go fishing, and you throw that hook out there, you're trying to reel that fish out of that water, because your mentality is, if I get that fish out of the water and I put it on dry ground, he's on my turf to fight. I think one of you guys were talking about that. But that fish is running, and he's trying to pull whatever got him into the water.
Right.
That if I pull you into the water, you in my world.
Right.
I had a friend that was real short, and as long as we had a lot of space, we could wrestle and I can beat him. But he got smart. He wanted to wrestle me in a small area. I couldn't stretch out, but he was all on the big dresser and the bed and everything. So he lured me into his world. The same thing we're talking about even with our white brothers or whatever. They're trying to allow us to get their mentality. And we're trying to take their mentality and live a black life.
Is that possible?
So it is, because now what happens is whenever they find somebody, and you're gonna watch this, whenever they find somebody starting to rise in power, they're gonna do something to try to kill them. They're gonna do something to try to kill them. If that's their mentality, what's happening in our community now? You don't see no white man coming up there shooting you.
I don't know.
No. Okay. You're thinking about one group of people. When the last time in this area, just a plain white person came in our community
and did what?
And shot us?
October 29th, right? September 29th.
Where?
Without a badge.
No, he's in no.
It's a white person, period.
White vigilante.
Right?
They still practice white aggression and supremacy.
Is that
That's two different things.
Okay.
Are you talking about black?
Okay, let me tell y'all this. Let a white man come here now.
He won't.
Yeah.
You think he's gonna come in here where you are and start something?
No, I see what you
I got it.
said.
But you know what he will do?
Well, if I could, I work at like a nightclub, and I've seen it happen before. They'll come in a room and expect to control the whole room.
Correct.
You know, their mentality is, I don't care how many y'all is, you are beneath me. I've seen the lowest white man be homeless, and he thought he was better than me. You know, it's just a mentality that it's it's instilled in them. And like I said, I'm glad you brought that up, because the scripture says you can't make straight with the Lord made crooked. They have been oppressing us from day one. And when we try to go around it in so many different lanes, like scriptures say, straight gate. You got to be a broad, a straight way we deal with them and understand that you're over there, we're over here. You know what I'm saying? The Lord has always been with us. We just don't know it. You know what I'm saying? We haven't acknowledged it to get our full power behind that. And when we look at them as if they're so much smarter and this, but they stole everything from us. Right. And they know that. That's why they come around, they have to do something extra. Right. They have to, and they expect you to. Just sometimes, you know, when you leave here today, just sit and watch how they act when they come in the room with you. They expect you to acknowledge them. And when you don't, it's a problem. Right. That's why when you see us out in the corner of any y'all ever seen our videos, it's a scripture that tells them they're supposed to, if they really love God, they're supposed to lick our boots, kiss our boots. And people get offended when they see that. But that's scriptural because guess what? That person, that's considered a good white man. If he's willing to do that, he should come. If they came in here right now, I would want him to kiss every person in here boots for what his ancestors did. Because you can't let them get away with it and still have that mentality. And we dealt with it and we gotta forget it. Right. You know, we gotta let it go and just go kumbaya. We can't do that. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing it because they're still expecting the treatment that their forefathers got. Right?
So do you think a big solution would be mindset?
Definitely. So like the scriptures say, the weapons of warfare are not carnal. It's spiritual. The strongholds on our brain that we have to do, the culture that they, like he said, like he brought a good point when he said, we try to live their life and be black. That go back to envying your oppressor. Right. When you envy your oppressor to the point to where you don't even know your culture, like, you know, today is the Feast of Purim. That's in the Bible. That's our day. We should be, we know all of us are traveling to South Carolina, Nashville today to be, and all y'all invited, y'all want to come too. We traveling today. Our people don't know about it. Our people know about 4th of July, not our independence. We know about Thanksgiving, slaughter of our brothers, Indians. So we know about Christmas, a God that hates us. That has nothing to do with Christ, for one thing. You know, that mentality is a mental thing. We have to know who we are first. Right. If you don't know who you are, you cannot come out of the situation. Well, the problem we got now is spiritual because it's not about the money. You know what I'm saying? We have a spiritual stronghold that's holding us back from getting what we got to. And the Bible is the only thing that's going to connect that.
What I really heard you say is that it's the colonization. Right. You know, the colonization is a connection between this European thought construct. Right. So we have adopted this European thought construct and how we respond to each other. Mm-hmm. So returning back to the original thought construct, I'm not sure who I heard talk about, it doesn't matter. But when it comes down to the original thought construct that God thought about when he initially sent the children to Israel, to the wilderness, he was like, I want my people to go there so that they can worship me. And this big fight broke out between the tribe and Samuel, where he was like, they was like, give us a king so we can be like everybody else. The stupidest thing. Give us a king so that we can be like everybody else. And that thought construct, it made us, you know, want to be similar to what we were already above. Returning back to the focus of that tribal thought construct of having councils. I believe that Jethro recommended to Moses that there be counselors for different areas to be able to have discussion as opposed to him always trying to address everybody's problems. So reestablishing those particular, what would it be called, like maybe parameters or systems, statutes within our tribe, I believe will be helpful.
Well, the thing is peace is not calm, freedom is not a calm, revolution. None of this stuff is a calm situation. Right. And I think people want this to be calm. This is never gonna be a calm situation. Right. So with that being said, you're gonna get uncomfortable. For me, I live and die for this, for every person in here. When we were just talking about whether they gonna come here, they know not to push us that far no more. It's certain, they know to keep us comfortable. It ain't about pushing you to make you whatever, it's to keep you calm. Because if I keep you calm, you ain't worried about what we in here talking about now. But when we do, like I got a fire lit in me to talk. So that spirit that we talking about, it requires me to move. I can't sit still. I'm going to do something. And it ain't gonna be peaceful to an oppressor that's trying to oppress me. He gonna take a loss and a lot. So it ain't peaceful for him at all. So this is not a peaceful conversation or a peaceful movement, but it's peace at the same time because I got to keep my peace
with also the world within my spirit.
Right.
That's the only way I can keep my peace.
And this is not the place to be at peace. The peace is on the other side. We can rest comfortably when we get to where we're going. But we're not gonna rest here because this
not the
ain't it.
resting place.
Yeah, this is not it. So
I kind of feel look at it a little bit different.
okay.
Because and I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just looking at it another perspective. It's because they want us to be rowdy. They want us to be
I don't necessarily be
rowdy. I'm saying because a lot of times when you deal with most of us, we're going to get upset. We're going to go to yelling, and once we go to yelling, we're out of control. I've talked to some people, even white people, and just on the talk and say, listen, a lot of times I just talk to them. Because I say things to make them upset to see. Because as long as they come, the Bible says this, be slow to listen.
Be quick to listen.
I mean, be quick to listen, slow to speak. We're doing the opposite. We don't listen to nothing. We're going to let our point be, then we become to be out of control. See, I can judge this brother, but I never listen to this brother.
There's a lot of that going on.
So a lot of times, a person can be talking, and you waiting like jump rope. You just waiting on your turn to jump in and start talking. But I'm not listening to what you say. I hear you, but I'm not listening to what you're saying. Now I'm listening to everything that you're saying because I want to engage. I don't want to be quick to speak. And then I'm out of control. And what they want us to be is out of control. They want to pick and get you upset, and now we're out of control.
What are you told?
When the brother was speaking, I was hearing it's not peaceful because we're not comfortable. It's not peaceful because we don't possess what we desire. And the reason it's not peaceful is I must resist. And if I resist, I'm out of control. Meaning, just because you say it, don't mean that it's right. Just because you put it in law, don't mean that it's right. But you do that with purpose. So now, I'm bringing conflict because I'm resisting what you say. And now you judge me as an angry black man. Because I'm resisting.
Conflict with, though? Is the conflict within you? Or now have you turned the table that the conflict is within them?
If you appropriate my resisting as conflict, it's me.
Us eating, sitting at the table, it's not peaceful to them. Us sitting there having a plan, it's not peaceful to them. I'm not saying about us, I'm saying it's not peaceful to them. Mm-hmm. Like, think about it, groups of melanated beings being, I remember us just being talking, sitting somewhere, hey, break that crowd up. Break that crowd up.
Yeah.
That's not peaceful to them. Us in here, this not peaceful.
Right.
When they watch this ain't peaceful, they like, oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. We gotta do something, because they gonna lose something. We ain't here talking about mental health. We ain't here talking about, getting back to ourselves. And you know what that requires? Not them. In every aspect. Now you can come, but when you get over here to our side, it's rules. The tables turn. And when you say it do become a conflict, because my life is devoted to God. You start messing with what comes between my religion and what your statutes is, I'm taking my religion all day. And now I got something that protects that. The very reason they ran. They was getting slaughtered based off their belief.
Right.
They had to see God. They had to know that God is real. Because now I'm going to make you honor that, first and foremost, the First Amendment is about your liberty, your God-given rights. Nobody should ever be able to take that from you in no shape, form, or fashion. That's what I'm saying we have to live and die for. That's that purpose, to where I don't care who it is. I'm a servant to you. But I'm a president to others. But here, I'm here to serve y'all. What's up?
Right.
What we going to do? Because for me, before I leave, I'm going to have y'all numbers. We're going to have to do something, because I feel like performance is key. Let's perform the word.
Right.
Let's perform it.
Right.
Now I get what you're saying. I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying now, but again, I think we were going back to the mindset and switching the mindset.
Right.
With us in here talking, in our peace, and they're having conflict. But then guess what they do when they come in and break us up or try to break us up when we're standing? They're breaking us up, cause us now to have conflict.
Right.
But guess what they have? They have peace. But then we take the point that we don't think with this. We have been brought up to be thinking with this. I mean, it's the time when we thinking with this right here, we're never gonna out.
I want to piggyback on what he said. I love it because I had it in my notes. He talked about serving. And I think two components for us, we're going to work together, is servanthood and love. If we learn, because the choice, that's the key. We have to continue to choose to serve one another in those capacities. Right. I believe everyone in here is representing the same thing. We serve a community. We serve a people. We're serving others. So if we maintain that in the midst of those conflicts, well, we can have a conversation and disagree, but it don't mean we got to leave our fight.
Right.
We just figure out, because if I always serve you, or have the choose to serve you, then we can figure out a way to walk together. We can walk together, although we may have some disagreements, but the goal, the main thing should always still be the main thing. We can never lose our servanthood and our love. I can't serve without love, genuine, and I can't love without serving. So if we keep those two things, the main thing, that's when we'll see some success. And I love the last part he said too. Now it's time to perform based on those two components.
I just want to quickly say, I think it's three things: love, serve, and trust.
Agreed.
You know, I think it's important that we, that I know when you come to me in love, you want to serve me, I have to be able to trust you that you're going to do that. And so I think that's one of the things that make us great as a people, and especially when we're in groups, because we walk in love. You know, we walk in wanting to serve one another. We've been doing that all our lives. It only becomes a conflict when we're being infiltrated, and being targeted, and being dysfunctional being sent to us to cause confusion among us and in our mind and in our behavior. And so I feel like
no, you good. But you were talking about trust, and that's important.
I feel like to overcome a lot of our battles is that we have to trust each other first, and we do great at those things.
And trusting ourselves. That's another part of being present. Because if I'm present and I trust myself, myself ain't gonna tell me nothing wrong. And more importantly, trust God. Trust God. God gonna send that something and it's someone that we're not walking around here looking for. Oh, that's confirmation. That's confirmation. You don't need no more confirmation. God told you. What you need is affirmations. The things that I wrote in my journal, things I wrote, things I talked to God about. You came and you affirmed it. And it don't sound like, you know what, that's a compliment. Thank you, you love my lips, that is so sweet. But I already know that because I already been sparring up with myself. And when you said it, it's like, Robin, remember, they love your lips, smile. And I'm like, okay, you reminded me of something. And it's not like I'm looking for a token or a nugget to get me to the next something. It's not confirmation. Affirm me in my stance so that I can continue to fight the fight and do what we need to do in the movement. So I like that, and being able to trust myself and the God within me, and then I can trust you. But if I can't trust myself, ain't no way I'm gonna trust none of y'all. I don't want to trust y'all. So the problem starts at home. It starts within. And two things. One thing is I want somebody to kind of talk about the difference between something being legal and something being lawful.
As a lawyer, I guess I'll talk about it. All right, so something being legal, right? So that's just what the law says that someone can do, right? It's a written law. It may have been put into action, eons ago, right? That's just what's there. Now, as far as lawful, actually, here's the thing. In a lot of ways, those two things are kind of the same thing.
Okay.
Because essentially all it boils down to what the law says. Where the difference is sort of interpretation of the law. So it's not necessarily a difference between those two words, but it's just interpretation. And that's sort of where the courts come into play, juries come into play, all this stuff comes into play. Because technically you can be following the law. Everything you're doing is legal. But technically it can also not be lawful just because of the way that you're playing. So, for instance, you can be following the book on a cop can be following the book on how they search someone, right? But one little mistake in there, they didn't ask a certain question, and now that whole search is now unlawful. And so I think those two words are really the same thing. It's just all boils down to interpretation.
Okay.
So I don't really think there's a difference with those words. It's just sort of
The way you
how you interpret it.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think if I could, I think one point to add to that is like, yeah, there's a legal thing to do, right, in the worldly concept, but there's a lawful way to live according to the Bible, right? And those two things don't always mesh, right? Like it's okay to eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster, but the Bible says that's not lawful, right? Like we can celebrate, in the world it's okay to celebrate Christmas, it's okay to celebrate Thanksgiving, but the Bible tells us that those things are unlawful, right? So I don't know if that's what you were trying to go with your question.
I just asked the question.
But I think that's how
If I could add on, a good example of what the brother's saying is like you can look at the marriage, the way it works through the Bible. In the Bible, you are married to a woman if you sleep with her. It's not where it don't say nowhere you have to go get a certificate and do this, and that's cool. It's not unlawful to do it. If you got married, that's fine. The key is, do you know you're gonna stay with that person forever? And that's what we're not being taught. It's legal to divorce your husband if you're tired of him. It's to divorce your woman if you're tired of her. In the eyes of God, that's unlawful. And it is a major sin by death, to do that. So we're not killing nobody for getting divorced. Don't say saying that. But in the eyes of God, it's a sin. And that's when you say the word lawful, we think about God's law. Because a lot of that, thou shalt not kill, something that's in the amendment. They got it from that. If it wasn't for that, it probably might not have been in there. Right. It might be legal to do that anyway. And a lot of stuff that they're saying is legal to do is causing issues even in the ozone layer. Even though just because it's legal to them, you got to look at how God said, like when he said about the crab, shrimp, and lobster. Crabs clean up the ocean floor. The pig was meant to be a garbage disposal. We weren't meant to eat it, but you can eat it. God put a law not to eat it. If you eating it, you're messing up the ozone layer. That's science. It's in the Bible. And it's just how we have to look at it and start taking our feelings out of it and okay, this is benefiting who? Why did they tell us this is okay? Why is this saying don't worry about this and that like that? We have to get back to the original reason of why God said to do. It all makes sense.
Right. Well, for me to explain legal and lawful, we can use just, for instance, everybody got the right to breathe in here right now. That's your God-given right to breathe. Your God-given right to live, to eat, shelter, all of that. That's a right that is God-given. Go back to, I think it's Genesis 1, 26, 27. As far as the dominion that we were given, that means that we have the right to use the resources of this earth and things of that nature for the living and survival of man, right? So that right is lawful. Remember, government, God gave right to man, man gave right to government, government gave right to citizens. That's always the
Say that
order.
again.
God gave right to man, man gave right or privilege or consent to government, and government gave privileges to citizens. That's the order. That will never change. Nothing will ever exceed God's law. And what I say is, you got the right to travel freely. Everybody got freedom of movement. You got free conscience. You got a free mind, right? So with that being said, if I take your right to travel, for you to hop in your vehicle that you personally own and to travel up on the road, if I take that right away from you, charge you and make you get a license and charge you a fee for it, what I did was I took private property from you for my own public interest. I should compensate you for that. Think about that.
Sure.
Now, not only that, if my right to travel is my God-given right, you feel what I'm saying? And this is my religion, because like I told you, every aspect of me is divine. So this is my right. No, you can't have it. So with that being said, what you're doing is One, the state is incompetent of any affairs that deals with religion. That's a fact. You mention religion, people gonna get out your way because they can't comprehend that. Because God's law is God's law. We all subject to the air to breathe in here. Nothing can change that. So that's the type of thing, what I'm saying. Like, we even look at how the United States even got started. First of all, it's a corporation that tells you. We're shareholders. Every last one of us. We vote on people to sit in office. That is a business. The president is the CEO of an executive office. This whole thing is a corporation. We shareholders. So anything about it is statute. It never exceeds God's law. We can always do that. You got the what? What other rights did you guys have that we feel like is taken from us? That's why I said the church was the government. Everything the state doing, the church did it first. The schools, everything was at church. That's what our safe haven. That's what a covenant is.
Right.
That's what we in grace.
Right.
Because they can't exceed the boundaries of God's law. It's not possible. Because everything they create has to be what? In with the actual, so we'll say the U.S. Constitution is a contractual agreement, the contractual law. We can say it's a trust indenture. We're the beneficiaries of it. But at the end of the day, the first thing it protects is everybody in here religion. Y'all know what liberty of conscience means? That every individual in here has the right to decide what is sacred to themselves. What's sacred about your day? Even though we, are where we are, what is sacred about us? You see what I'm saying? And that is, as long as I don't take away your rights, as long as what I do don't take away your equity, your equitable rights to serve God, etc., however you choose, it don't cause harm or anything of that nature, then it's free. That's why it's called the land of the free. Because everyone won, there was no other interceding between you and God. God resides in you.
Right.
That's why we able to have a prayer and connection with God. There is no other interceding. So with that being said, you are able to what? Go out and be on your own conscience. Yeah, you can. It is freedom of speech. But guess what? There's also slander. Yeah, you can say what you want, but let your words harm my business, my family. I got to get you.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, there is order, there is structure, and like, just like my brothers right here. Like, I don't know y'all order and y'all structure, but I respect it to the feeling because that's what's needed. My brother leaned over and said, if I could, whatever that means. But I understand there is an order.
Right.
There is a structure. We got to have all of this is what we're talking about. And God, order, and law is first. They will never exceed over that. We go to jail for the lack thereof. Like I'm telling y'all, I beat evictions with the scripture. Why? Because the land is connected, the house is connected to the earth. So if the house is connected to the earth, the land belongs to man. What can a corporation do? Can a corporation sleep in it? Can it eat out of it? Whatever. My necessity comes before it all day, and I can prove it, and I'm going to win every time. Why? Because I got something to do with God.
Right.
And that is a contract, Article 1, Section 10. They cannot create no state legislative law that's going to impair any contractual agreement that we have. My first contract is with who? God. How you going to be? I'm standing with God on everything I do. I'm telling you, my tag right there now I say religious autonomy. The police pull up behind me, they look at it, go on about their business. You don't want them problems, bro. I promise you don't. Because as soon as you get in here, they're going to ask you why you got this man in here with us today. Because I understand how to handle it. I know it's about money. What we said that earlier. Somebody was talking about it's a penal sum, something like that. You were saying it earlier. It's about money. It is because this whole system is like it's a corporation, so they're in commerce. This only about money. Your birth certificate, it ain't just something to say you were born. That's not it. We got to understand the relationship that we have here. The Constitution says that there is nothing supposed to be made with gold or silver as tender of payment within the Union States. Any one of y'all getting paid gold and silver? That's not what's happening. So there's a breach of contract here. So HJR 192, 1933 is when all the people brought their gold up to the state for the people, the state to borrow from the people. Congress has the power to do that. Article 1, Section 8. They got the power to borrow from who? The people. So they're borrowing from you. What are they borrowing? Your liberty. And they turn it into what? A penal sum, just like he was saying. So if it's about commerce, let's be it. God said we were sold for nothing and we're going to be redeemed for nothing, right? It don't cost me nothing to do this. What's up? You feel what I'm saying? Because my body, if you're going to weigh and measure me, they weighed and measured you when you was a child, it was to represent the gold that they don't have. So now, symbolic, and guess what? You got interest. Did you grow up? You got bigger, didn't you? Everybody in here got interest, right? That's the reason why they give you a death certificate. It's a security based upon the interest that they have collected up through your life estate, the whole entire time. So yes, it is about money. I can take my birth certificate, create a negotiable instrument on the back of it, and that's literally like a check. And the reason why is I have the power to take this book right here, I can monetize it for $100. I can monetize anything. We can monetize this conversation into what? Some particular currency. So that means I what? Created the money. I gave you a financial asset, a security. So now it's your labor, goods, and service that represents the United States dollar. How do we ever owe, y'all? How can you ever be evicted? It's not possible. We in a system, we being duped. Your money said, we all say what? I owe you, right? Well, why we ain't getting what they owe? If every time I spend $1, you owe it to me. It say it's reserved. For who? Me. The national debt keep going up. Why? Because we ain't claiming what's ours. But we don't deserve it right now either. Because we don't understand. We got to go back to God. The floodgates gonna open, but we got to serve. We got to be, and it ain't even about money. Throw away the money. Throw away the whole entire system. We don't need it. At the end of the day, we all look alike in here. I want to see you live. I want to see your children live. How can I serve you? I got 15 acres right now. Y'all want to set up a garden? What we talking about? It's nothing. Let's just do it.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? I didn't take over like that.
No, you good.
I'm just being honest.
I've been trying to provoke you to come on.
Let's just do it. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I'm amongst great people, so I kind of get nervous.
Yeah, no,
just
you
seeing
good.
it.
You
You
good.
know what
I
I'm
tell
saying?
you.
And a lot of people, like, I don't even know the community, but a lot of people don't expect to see us sitting here like this, man.
Right.
More in Hebrew Israelites, they be like, well, but I know what
Don't
they
forget the
represent.
church too.
Right, this is the church. That's what we saying. The kingdom is in the heart.
Exactly.
I don't care what they, whatever they represent, I represent. Do you believe in God? Yep. You serve God. You a child of God. So am I. So let's learn. Let's work. I got nothing against what you believe, your religion. That's totally you, and I respect it. It ain't causing no harm to my family. Can I serve?
Everybody wins.
Everybody.
We can't use that diversity to be against each other. To say because I don't worship or because I don't read or I don't think, then we can't work together.
We conquer.
When we still got that, you know. One of the things I was thinking about that lawfulness, he said, even in Scripture says, even though it's lawful, it's not expedient. It means it could be lawful, but is it to my advantage?
Right.
If I do what's legal, is it to my advantage? Because at 21, I can go purchase the alcohol. I can go home and drink as much as I want. But now, I'm subject to it. It takes me out of my personality. I'm yelling at my wife. I'm abusing my wife. I'm confusing my kids. So even though it's legal, is it expedient? So we have to look at that negative side of it too. Even though it's lawful, I mean, is it expedient? And so many other things that's legal for me to do. And then I have to begin to ask myself, how is it working out for me? It's legal, but is it beneficial? And everything that's legal, some of it has been legalized with a purpose. Because if I legally allow you to have a gun, and I legally allow you to have a substance that's gonna interfere with you, that's gonna cause you to pop off while in a project, while we cage together, and if I'm mad and I explode, who am I exploding on?
Whoever next to you.
Whoever next to me.
If I can add on what he's saying, like what I do, I think we have to look at it. What law benefits black people? What law benefits us as a people? Like it's a law in Matthew about if you have an issue with a brother or sister, you have to go to them directly, one-on-one, not in front of a crowd, not make a show of it. Imagine what that would do for the black community. A lot of these young boys do not go to each other one-on-one. They go to where? They go to Facebook. They go to Jenny. They go tell their baby mama, and somebody in a dead. The police that's policing us, they only come in when the bodies show up.
But that's not taught at home either. A
not,
lot of these little
it's
boys ain't never heard that scripture.
Right,
And if so, you know, it's from the perception of somebody who's a warped perception of somebody they ain't even studied.
Right.
So by putting us together, and I'm gonna go to the youth too, because I would like to talk to you about it, but it starts with the adults. It starts with us. And I know we all still young, but we're getting older, and we're the adults here now. You know, and we have to make sure we're standing on these principles and morality, like y'all said, and standing for something that matters, so that the children can have people that they trust to give them information that we didn't even get ourselves. You know, and teaching those scriptures. Those are things that they need to know. You got a problem with your brother? Go in their room, y'all duke it out, or whatever y'all got to do. You figure it out. Don't turn no Facebook on. Don't do none of that, and don't come out until y'all get it together. That's okay.
And to add to that, and what's what you call a governing body, where it's actually order. If those two brothers go in their office and come out and disagree, we have a council. You go to the generals and they talk to you and say, and when they decide what it is, you let that go. You and that brother done with that.
Yeah.
It's never to be spoke of again. That's your brother. It's over with. And that's the only way to slow some stuff down.
Even that same scripture said when you go and you can't win, and go back and get to church and go.
That's right. It's counsel. Right.
Gain more.
Right.
And understanding the age gap and understanding our kids. And as adults, we have to know when it's time to transfer that power. I think you spoke about that earlier. Not shifting, knowing when, you know, okay, Moses, the time is up.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I think, and we all, nobody wants to get old. Nobody want to age, you know, and like, I got enough time, you know, and people die young now, so it's not really about age. You got to be ready for what's coming after you too. And what happens when, you know, you can't perform like you did yesterday, you know, and being prepared for what's next.
I just want to touch on, like, the law that they create for a statute, that ain't got nothing to do with it. Nobody in here. You're not a corporation. You came with law. Man was supposed to have a moral compass, as we were saying, principality, right? Again, all of it, if you go back and read just history, what was war? What was religion? It was the war over God, about God, who to serve and how to serve, right? That's always been the actual situation here, right? So when you go back even into in the Bible, first, like you were saying, first Samuel chapter 8, right? That's what we did. Exactly what you said. We did it. It's right here in our face. We stopped giving it to God. The question that I find so funny was when the devil tempted Christ, and he was like, you know, I can give you this and I can give you that. It was funny because it's like, what you got to give, bro? None of this belongs to you. None of it. Just like it was a trick question, like what belongs to Caesar, render unto Caesar. What belongs to God, belongs to God. Well, that's a trick question. Don't let them belong to Caesar. All of it belongs to God. This is the grantor of all things that is going. All things is divine and in order and in structure. What we come from is what we have to be. We can't be out of order, chaotic, whatever. Everything y'all just said, what you just mentioned about going to your brother in secret, they actually use that law. That's called administrative procedure. The first thing, number one rule of business is communication. I'm supposed to let you know and give you a notice of claim that you have caused harm to me. And we can settle this matter out of court. If not, then we got to bring it to the public venue. That's it.
Is that right?
Yeah, straight up. That's what's supposed to happen. But that's what I'm saying. And the reason why I'm saying that because what he said was that's what God say. And I'm telling you, they can't make a law that conflicts with that. No law they create can ever conflict. Because if it ever do, then you have to stand in your right. But when you start standing in your right, that means you exercising your God-given right. And they can't exceed that. Every law they ever create has to follow God's law. If not, it's chaotic.
That's true, and I agree with that. But I think there was a little difference between how you had it set up. You had it that it comes from God, God gives right to government, governments give right to people. I think what it is God gives right to man.
That's what I said. I said God
and man gives right to government.
And government gave the citizens. Okay.
No, I think the citizens give right to the government, right? So what happens is we formed.
Well,
and that's what I mean. Like we sort of formed a social contract with each other and created this government. But the only way to sort of change things or buck the system is put people in place to change those laws. Like we feel like the laws disagree with God's law, then we got to get in there and change that law. If we're just individually bucking the system, that's not going to change it, is what I'm saying.
Right. It's not really bucking. And like when I say citizen, when I say government creates the citizen, God created man, which is people.
Yeah.
So what I say that is, without people creating government, a citizen can't exist.
Well, I would say that we were already citizens.
It's the term citizen.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, citizens are where though?
We were citizens of the kingdom.
Thank you. Now you just placed yourself out of jurisdiction of what I'm trying to tell you, explain. Now I can't hold you to certain statutes that's going to conflict with your religious law. I can't do it. You see what I'm saying? I can't cause you harm. Like I can name, they put out this COVID, right? That you gotta have this, and if you can't, they wouldn't let people graduate. They was getting people fired. I've done over at least 200 people stuff just by using the law saying that keeping your body clean, using the scriptures in the Bible, that you can't receive any form of impurity within the body, right? And that it's sacred, right? Just that alone. People got to keep their jobs, graduate, whatever. You see what I'm saying? They can't, no matter what, they can't ordain the God. We can go back to the Hebrew boys, right? What they do? They stood on God's law, right? No matter what. When it said that they went through the fire or whatever, that's them being tested. They came out, they had to release them. Why? Because they could find no harm. Just like they couldn't find no wrong in what Christ had done in the statues of Pilate. There wasn't nothing. There wasn't no wrong. But what he do? He said, all right, I'm going to turn you back over to your people. When he turned it back over to his people, he was saying, now this is you dealing with the priests. Who was he dealing with? The Pharisees. They hated his guts because they was liars. They was cheaters. So what they did, according to their law, they got to what? Crucify him. You got to pay attention to what's really going on. They showing you they don't got no power. He said, I washed my hands. He hadn't done nothing wrong. What y'all talking about, we ain't got no say-so in that way. So when I do say citizen, I'm just saying government created a citizen, meaning they gave you privileges. McDonald's, there's no way McDonald's can be equal to me. And McDonald's is a citizen. And it got privileges along to sue and be sued, right? Yep. So how is that gonna be equal to me? That's what I want to say. How is it equal to anything God created? It's not. That's a corporation. It needs me and you to do anything for it. No, that's my whole entire purpose of what I'm saying. So we were given a social security number, a birth certificate, which represents a citizen. You said it yourself. This is a commercial nation. Why? We're dealing with fiat. We're not dealing with no real substance of money. Two, we're dealing with debts and bonds and things of that nature, right? So as a commercial nation, it has to operate. What does the country have to do when it owes someone? You see what I'm saying? If you go back to the old days, if my tribe owes something, I'm either have to marry off my daughter or something if I ain't got no, right? Am I right or wrong? I'm gonna have to marry off my daughter or something if I don't got the resources for the money or whatever you need. I gotta give you something to what? Because I'm being held accountable to settle this account. So what do the United States have to give you? They only had what? They created fiat, any contracts and bonds that they may create, and they created what they call a U.S. citizen. And this U.S. citizen is a surety for what? The national debt. So anytime they call it, they subpoena this U.S. citizen to come to court, guess what? They're not calling you, but they are in a sense because you're in control. Right. You're the owner of it. So that's why I say when I step in, all I got to do is let them know I'm just here as an accommodating party. I do not render the body for debt. You got me in a court talking about, you got me in a criminal court talking about civil matters. You got a penal sum on this. It's a bond. This out of jurisdiction. Everything's out of whack. I've dismissed numerous of cases just on the fact of standing on God's law. It's nothing they can do. Can I see the state of Alabama? I want to cross-examine the state of Alabama. Can the state of Alabama come sit on the stand? No. You feel what I'm saying? They can't do it. So I'm gonna get you. What? Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo suing me for something. All right. Well, does Wells Fargo have a personal injury? And if they say, okay, it was put in the motion that they do. All right. I want to cross-examine Wells Fargo. What is it? Let's get Wells Fargo up here to speak for itself. Can it do it? It's got to have a representative, and a representative can only be seen as a way. He's part of it. He's a witness to the thing, but If it's not the specific person, and even then, you're just a witness. You're not the one that's personally being injured. So to the person that's personally injured show up, which can only be a what? Living man or woman. I can personally injure you by your religion, whatever that may be, but I can't personally injure a corporation. You got to show me willful intent. Where's the willful intent? I don't have none. It don't make sense. You can't get around God's law. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate it. You got almost like, yeah, that's good. I like that. And we gotta talk more. Are there any questions out there that? Could you stand up just so we can hear you with the mic?
My name is Christine Young. I have been working 21 years within a systemic racist institution, and I had to come out to be able to walk in my God-given rights and my renewed and transformed mind. But what I got out of this panel is, we want to talk about systemic racism. You cannot be free of that if you don't generate your own wealth. Period. And I'm going to close with this. Thank each and every one of you. And thank you, brothers, because I am a self-identified Christian. But even as a Christian, we don't know our rights. We don't know the word. I'm divine. I'm under God's law. Now, I ain't finna go out here and shoot nobody and run 90 on the interstate. But I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and that means a lot. And thank y'all, everybody on this panel, even the ones that's not saying enough. But thank you particularly for being a father figure for young men. And now I'm gonna close in. Let's thank everybody. Thank y'all for us getting along.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How y'all doing?
Oh, wonderful.
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to. I've been listening and hearing a few things, but I wanted to state that I think it would be disingenuous and negligent for us to sit here and talk about a cause or where we're trying to go without acknowledging that we all don't come from the same place. Without acknowledging that in this American system that we're in this capitalistic system that we're in, to not acknowledge that, yes, everybody on that panel might be of the same foundation of a belief system. But when we're talking about black people in America, we're talking about millions of people who don't believe the same thing that people on this, that even the diverse people on this panel believe. And when we come from that understanding, we have to understand that in order for us to come together as a people, it has to be something that's mutually beneficial for all of us to get to where we're going. Because a part of the problem that we have is sitting here saying that we have to do this a certain type of way. When you have millions of people who don't believe that, they're never gonna get on board with what you're saying because that's not their belief system. Now, are we talking about black people that are Christians? Are we talking about black people that are Muslims? Are we talking about black people that are atheists? I'm black first. I don't care what your religion is. As long as when we get to the finish line together, we understand where we're going. See, a lot of us, we're on this panel talking about, and it's no disrespect, it's just a difference of opinion, what I'm saying. A lot of us on the panel, we're talking about God said this and God said that and God did this and the scripture said this. And yes, to you, that might be your belief and 100% of what you believe that we have to go by that. But I come from a household with a Muslim father and a Christian mama. You understand what I'm saying? I already understand that if we don't, that the love came before what they personally thought was their belief, right? And they fathered 4 beautiful kids that can stand on their own and articulate what they feel like is real. So I feel like if we don't acknowledge that point, because I feel like I came here to understand how do we get to where we're going, right? Or what are we trying to get to? What are we trying to get to? I don't think that question was even really answered here. I feel like we said a bunch of stuff about how we can get there if we unite, how we can problem solve to get there, but where are we going? I ask this all the time when I'm talking to people. I say, what is freedom to you? Because everybody say we want to be free. What is freedom? I can't tell you what it is. I'm not going to get up here and give you a soliloquy on what I think freedom is. That's for everybody to understand. But until we come together and can get a common goal of what we think freedom is, the Panthers didn't care, right? The Panthers said, we're gonna get these people food, we're gonna educate them, we're gonna make sure they're protected, and we'll figure the rest out later if you believe what I believe. Malcolm X got to a point where he said, leave your God at home. He didn't say it because he didn't believe in God, because we know he was definitely God-fearing. But what he said is, if we come out here and the first thing we're trying to figure out is who God is right, the white man or the oppressor is always going to win, right? I can come to your home, I can come to you individually and say, I'm not trying to say that you're wrong. What I'm saying is, we don't have an understanding of what we're trying to get to. Right. And if we don't have an understanding of what we're trying to get to, how are we going to get everybody else to coalesce around a common mind frame?
Okay.
I think we mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
What we said about being cause motivated.
Yeah.
Being cause motivated means we're fighting or trying to change the same cause. And if the cause is affecting all of us, it's beyond our belief. It's beyond our organization. It's beyond whether we're Muslim, Christian. We have a cause.
Yeah.
And those millions of people who don't believe like us, if they are still being affected like we all are, that's that motivation. And I think that should be our motivational cause.
Yeah.
And we have to be willing to separate our differences to fight or change that cause.
Amen.
So the question was, where are we going and how we get there? I can only answer the how. This is how.
Yeah.
HOW, House of Wealth, we all got to come together. We got to have more of these conversations. We got to work together. We got to talk about what's wrong. We got to be okay. We have to trust each other. We got to love each other. And we got to do things that are productive and not just sitting around talking. We got to get out there, get our boots to the ground and do something.
I could answer the brother. I think what he was more getting at is maybe like we're very scattered.
Yeah.
Right? And the way to get unscattered is to get down to what facts, like whatever everybody believes in, do you have facts based
on what you believe in? Can you prove what you believe in and what you're saying? Like we take our time to go to what we call a school. We go to school to learn, and if you don't like it, you have a chance to, debate it. We open to that any time. But the thing is, what you believe in, is it fact-based and does it ever produce any results from it? Or is other people using it against you? Like, we consider ourselves the real Jews. The people that run this earth call themselves Jewish. Why you say they saying Jewish? Because they want to be like the real Jews. They took that culture. That's a real thing we're looking at. It's not nothing you can avoid. It's a whole war where America just sent them $95 billion. And we give people clothes and food every week. They're crying when they receive it. So where is the focus, right? Who are we? What system are we giving into that we think this is going to help us? The scriptures say in Lamentations 4:1, we have our vain deceit. We have vain help. We're looking for help from people that don't care about us, and we're caught up in that system, and we keep doing it over and over. So I think what he was getting at, we don't have a straight line to where we get to how we get to that point, because everybody has their own thought process. And black people, Hispanic and Native American people who we represent, we love everything. We love every religion, every culture. It's nothing that we're afraid to use the word hate. It's okay to hate some things. You cannot say you love your child and love a child molester, right? It's a righteous hate. Because if I love you, I cannot love the oppressor. I can't. I can't genuinely want to help you and your family and your child if I'm worried about Billy and all these other people over here. Right. If I want to be like, hey, if I don't know that I'm not really an African, Africans don't like us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a fact. We call African. I'm let me cut y'all. But I got to let my people know, when you say you're an African American, that's named after your oppressor, both names. So who are we? And we have to get to that part right there first, right?
What I was going to say is, in response to the question, there is a scripture that says that I have sheep that you do not know about. And knowing that, it's like, I don't know, regardless of who I'm coming in contact with, if you look like me, you are my brother. If you look like me, you are my sister. So with that being the case, it's like looking at the statistics. Let's look at the numbers. Can we look at the numbers for a hot second? So by 2053, our community is projected to be at $0 median income. And that's what, 30 years away, 29 years away. By 2030, 47% of black workers are to be laid off due to automation and technology. The things that people that look like us are concerned about is our safety. It's the basic pyramid of wants and needs. Safety, security, clothes, food. So how do we get to a place of autonomy and that independence? Why are we still paying bills if our family, our tribe, our ancestors built it?
Bro, we pay for water.
That's crazy.
I think we kind of don't want off from what he was saying. Is that,
She said self-autonomy. That's what they're pretty much saying.
I'm saying as a whole, I think what he just was saying, I think we kind of start deviating
around the question
on what he was saying. I mean, maybe I heard it a little bit wrong. We were talking about God, and we were talking about different ways you guys are going to do whatever, this type of thing. And I think if we argue more about beliefs, we can sit here all day, and if we start cracking that jar right there, this is when you're gonna have you're gonna come into some problems. Because when you start talking about what you believe, since we're going good, and we've been moving, yes, we have been talking about God, but through all of everything with law and everything, God has been the common denominator. And like I said earlier before, if our destination is to go to Birmingham, whether you go 67, you go back over the bridge, or whatever way you want to go, that doesn't mean my way is wrong. That doesn't mean my way is wrong. We all have our different ways of getting there. But don't crush me because I choose and I think going 67 is faster.
That's a freedom, though. That's a right. That's the whole point.
I understand that. But I'm saying when we open that door, I don't think that's what, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think that he was starting to open the door of what we believe and we got to get on this one same. It's a whole lot of us here. We're saying we're going to get everybody on the same page.
No. Like what he was saying is like this.
No, that was a.
Not being like
that wasn't the question.
But what I'm saying is like this though. Like
a bit sarcastic.
To answer him in what he's saying, it's like this. Like even what you stated.
Oh, we asking.
That's a belief for you as well, and you got that right to state and believe that to the fullest. That's protected, is all I'm saying. That's protected. So even when it comes to the God or whatever, we the only people that's touchy with. Everybody else, they don't care about what you believe in. Is you gonna help me? Is we feed the community?
But that's contradictory.
No,
because earlier you said if they see my tag, they're gonna know what I believe and they're gonna go shoot around.
But that's the freedom. That's all I'm saying. It's a freedom and a right. You got the right to do it too. You just don't exercise it like I do.
How do you know what I exercise?
Okay, let's go look at your tag.
What about
I'm saying you're not exercising the same thing as what I'm saying. And it's not even to come into conflict with what all I'm saying is that right is protected. We the only ones that have a problem with when it comes to religion. Point is, it's your freedom to think that. You got a free conscious mind. I can't bother that. Now, if I get to telling you, you got to do this, now I'm starting to mess with your rights. And that's where other people gonna start stepping in. I'm gonna call my lawyer over here, and we're gonna have some problems.
But this is what I was saying.
We're the only group that has that problem, is all.
Right, but this is what I was saying from the beginning, and how we attack each other. Even when we were talking about the tag. Have we ever met before? No. Do you know what I drive?
It's just a point to prove.
Wait a minute. Immediately you said, let's go look at your tag. Now what if mine says the same thing as yours said?
That means you express it the way I do.
But you just said in front of this panel, you put me down and say.
And if I'm wrong, I'm the type of man to shake your hand and say I'm in the wrong and let's push on to something else. That's me.
Okay. And me too.
Like I'm a man. Like that's just me. You feel?
But it's like, I don't care if you ride a bike in here. I don't care if you
That's right.
Ride a scooter. I don't care if you got to get on the back of his page on his bike, or if you drive your car or van. As long as we all meet at the garden and sowing seeds to feed our people, I don't give a care how we get there. Let's just get there. Yeah. How do you think recent events and movements, such as the ones that you guys work on, like Black Lives Matter and the Justice for Steve Perkins movement, how have they influenced a legal discourse in Decatur, Alabama? Like, what changes have been invoked or provoked based off of just these movements? What have you seen evolve or change from one thing to another, just by the movement that you guys have been provoking?
I think the Justice for Steve Perkins movement has opened up and exposed how we've been governed by laws that don't benefit us in any way. And old laws, 50 plus years old, where no one has stood up and went in to challenge them or amend them. Like we all know, for like the parade ordinance that was weaponized by the mayor to try to say that we needed a parade ordinance to be able to protest. Well, that was implemented during the time of Lee Hines movement because the black community went into the courthouse and took over.
Right.
My father was the first one to be arrested. And so they used the very next day, they implemented that ordinance. And they used that against us and the protesters here. And so I feel like for the Justice for Steve Perkins movement is exposing and showing the community that we're being governed by small ordinances, not even laws, that is being used to weaponize us. And all it takes is for us to go in ourselves, amend them, go to council, city council, and have them vote to make them right. It's very simple. But it's little things that they use that we think that they have power over us, and they don't. And it's up to us to always challenge it.
I want to personally thank y'all for being here, and I hate y'all have to leave, but because they had so much I wanted. I have not asked any of the questions I had, but yeah, I appreciate y'all being here.
So we had a lovely conversation, to say the least. I felt like it was lovely. I learned a lot. Dee, what were some things that you learned during this conversation today?
All right, so what I kind of learned, or what I took away from the conversation, I feel like this conversation was a good illustration of what kind of our issues are. Because I think the issues is that we all sort of agree that we need to come together and that we need to sort of have group thought when it comes to all of our issues. But I don't think we all agree on what the issues are and where we're going, right? And I think, in a lot of ways, it may be because of different religions, it may be because of different backgrounds, but we got to realize, and I think that last question really sort of illustrated that black people are not a monolith, right? We're not all the same person. We can all go the same place, but we have to agree to all go the same place, and we're not sure exactly where that place is right now. I think the only thing that we're sort of fighting about is position instead of fighting for power. And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were telling me that like the difference between like black people and like other groups is that other groups fight for power for their people. Black people, we fight for position, and that's it. Yeah. We just fight for position, and we don't really know what direction we're going. And so in order for us to get anywhere, we got to figure out where we're going.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good illustration.
Yeah. But what I got from it, when they asked where are we going, I heard autonomy, freedom, liberation. But somebody whose ears don't hear those terms or understand it, it's blocked out. You didn't hear anything. But I think so where we're going as a people is to just be free from a system that we were placed into and gave ourselves consent to be in. Now we're aware that we can do this for ourselves.
And I think what I'm saying is, are we saying that we're looking for individual freedom or freedom for our people as a whole? Because I think what was being argued up here a lot of times is individual freedom. Like my right to do whatever I want to do, however I want to do it, whenever I want to do it, instead of my ability to take care of my people with those rights, right? It was more so my way of bucking the system rather than creating a system for my people.
And I understand that particular portion because it's a formula, right?
Yeah.
You know, you and I equals we.
Exactly.
So with that being the case, there are going to be separate things that you need. You might be in a different tax bracket than I am, and vice versa. Separate things that I need because I might be in a different position than you are in. But at the end of the day, it's what is of mutual benefit.
Correct.
Even if you have all the money in the world, you don't necessarily want to be paying bills with it, and you shouldn't necessarily have to pay bills with it. So that autonomy of adopting clean energy adoption, this Inflation Reduction Act opportunity is an opportunity for us to address a lot of the needs of our community by not having to pay power bills. I think that you guys said that the power bill is like anywhere from $400 to $1,000 in December and November.
That's true.
That's craziness. Food, permaculture should be everywhere. You shouldn't have to go to grocery stores to be able to eat. If the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the land should be full of food, the water. Like, and it's corporations are polluting the rivers and the waters. Like, we're adopting opportunities that's going to allow us to live in a safe, secure environment. Sometimes it might come in the form of politics. One of the things that we have an issue is that we are being policed by our blackness. Like, I can't just sit somewhere without someone being like, what you doing here? There's been several times where I've just been out on the road doing simple stuff like door dashing. And I park somewhere for 2.5 seconds and people asking me questions that don't look like me. And then I sound like a retard because I'm like, leave me alone. Leave me alone.
No, she really
leave me alone. Like, all I'm trying to do is execute the mission that I'm here for. And it's not about breaking anyone else's law. I shouldn't have to be policed to execute what I need to execute for myself, for my tribe, for my family. So I think that the individual things that we need is really the same things. It's just we are articulating it from different perspectives and coming to a place of being able to put these particular needs in brackets. You know, what does this, that's why emotional intelligence, we didn't get an opportunity to talk about mental health, but emotional intelligence is a huge part of our issues of why we're angry. We don't even know how to articulate what we're feeling. The lack of articulation of what we're feeling from the child to the oldest adult. I was talking to my grandmother not too long ago, and she informed me that a child couldn't even speak in the household around adults. Imagine that. 50s, 60s, you can't even articulate what's going on in your mind, what you experience, and then we pass down this generational issue of what happens in this house stays in this house. So it's a lot. It may sound like it's a lot of different things, but it's really just one.
Yeah, and I agree, because if I'm free and you free, we free, you know. So even though it's an individual, because you got to take care of you first. And again, with the autonomy thing, if you cleaning the water and I'm cleaning the air, and you plowing the land and making sure that we eat, I mean, it's individual, but it's still yet working for the people, if that makes sense. And yes, I have to free me before I can free we. I can't focus on all y'all when you gotta do your work, I gotta do my work, and when you come here, we're all free. It's like, oh, so we did free the whole tribe, but we did it part by part, if that makes sense.
I mean,
that's what I got from it.
Well, yeah, and look, in a perfect world, that's exactly how it works, right?
Yeah.
But that's just not. We don't live in a perfect world, right? And so you have a bunch of individuals coming together. They have different ways of thinking, and those different ways of thinking causes people to go in different directions.
Yes.
Even if we kind of want the same things, we're going in different directions. It's a little scattered.
Yep.
So we gotta get together and be in the same direction, and that's how you have unity. That's how you have actual change. That's how change actually happens. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with that.
And I like that you said that we have been fighting for position instead of power. That is a true statement.
Yeah.
We definitely have been fighting for position, because that's what the status of them letting a few people in
100%
at a time made us think that one position would allow us to have more freedoms. And even though I think that you said it, Pastor Crane, are you Crane?
No, that's Creighton, that's Walton.
Oh, Pastor Walter, I apologize. If one of us win, we all win. That would have been true if the ones that won reach back.
Exactly. Right.
You know, but a lot of us, we get our 40 acres and a mule, proverbial, and we dip out and we trying to go to the Caucasian neighborhood, and there's nothing wrong with moving, but at the same time, they think that you're selling dope. That anytime they see a whole bunch of black people, you can't even have festivities without them wanting to call the police and talk about your music is too loud. But they can be as loud as they want to, party, drink, and no one's concerned. I seen not too long ago, immigrants were beating up the police in New York, and they had to let them go. They couldn't do nothing to them. ICE couldn't even take them. But we come into a space and they quick to silence you.
Yeah.
And you know, and not even ask questions. Like, they shoot first and it's not even asking questions later. They shoot first and don't ask questions.
So Pastor Walton, what did you take away from this conversation?
I leave asking myself, what do we really want? Do we want our own land? And when I say our own land, just black people in general. If we all just pack up and move, or we all rally all around the world and go and say, let's establish our own citizenship, our own government, our own everything. Going back to segregation.
That was one of the things I did want to talk about. We didn't get to that.
Is that a goal? Or is it a goal for us to make things better here? Is it do we need to put people in place to put laws in order to where discrimination is not just on us? Like they discriminate us, you know, because we're all here in the States or in this world, and these laws are established, and a lot of them, they're not designed for us to succeed. We can succeed.
We will.
We can work together.
We will.
We can grow and we can better. But I think we need to get a vision of where we want to go, what issues we need to tackle. You know, when you talk about the racism, the strategic racism, systematic racism. You know, we need to dig into our school systems, because it's about educating. It's about being educated. And if I can keep you ignorant, I can continue to control you. I can control what type of job you receive. I control how much money you make. I control, you know, where you live. I control all of that based on your knowledge, your education.
And that's what I want to talk about with the child care, because learning starts at home. You know, don't depend on the school to be teaching your child what your child needs to know. Your child should go to school and ask questions, you know, but at the same time, I feel like your child should know, if you're a pastor, your child should know the word. I mean, that's y'all's, that should be your household culture. That's your thing, you know, and if you're a carpenter, your child should know that. That should be what they do at your house. And if they don't take heed to it, then okay. But at the same time, I feel like education starts at home. Children won't even read. Like, you pull a book out, they don't even know what we finna do. You know, like, they won't read. As far as writing, penmanship is so awful. They're now just typing everything. Like, it's not even the same. And scribing is important. You know, writing down and being able to read and articulate what your brain has put out there, that's important. These are things that, and I don't want to use the word magic, these are spiritual things. Like, your writing is important, you know, and typing, Lord forbid we get a flood come through, where are all the books going? You know what I'm saying, that you wrote? No one knows you anymore. You're wiped off the earth, you know, and media can only go so far. So It starts at home. I feel like, and the zoning, redlining is a big thing too.
Yeah.
Here in Decatur, they'll zone it out and put the good teachers over here and the ones that ain't worth a dang over there, and they know because they tallying up the grades. They know who's teaching what. They know what they do.
Absolutely.
They have a system too, and they put certain kids in certain places because they know they ain't gonna learn nothing, and these teachers ain't about to go the extra mile to do nothing. They're gonna take this little pay that they get, and they gonna go home, and that's it.
And a lot of that goes on because parents are not present.
Exactly.
And you saying that takes me to that point of, why aren't there present? You know what I mean? Because a lot of things that we talk about in our community, we talk about the problems, but they are just symptoms. The parent is not present because they can't afford to be at home.
That's true.
So it comes in like the other side of the coin is, okay, the parent is not in a position. Let's just say it. Financially, the needs are not meeting. No one is making a penny a second. They're making a fourth of a penny. It's crazy. Minimum wage still at $9, $10, even $15 is low for someone that may have 2, 3, or even 1 child.
And basic rent is like $1,000 a month on a 2-bedroom nothingness.
Right. So with that being the case, it's like as leaders, how do we take advantage of opportunities of sprinkling education? If your assignment is children, how do we equip them? How do we make sure that if I'm an auntie, if I'm an uncle, I'm gonna spend some time with my nephew and nieces, even if I can't spend a long time, because children can sometimes overconsume you. With all the
creating that village.
But creating that village of, do you know that you can talk to me about anything? Do you know that building that culture and that character? Do you know that you're a kingdom citizen? Do you know that you have rights? And not just in the going based off of the faith-based portion, even though spirit is very much so important, but also being able to use your position as an ambassador of the kingdom to impact and infiltrate.
Can I say this? Yes. I mean, we're talking about showing up and you're talking about education. I believe, it may sound crazy, but your parent can show up without physically being there.
Mm-hmm.
And showing up, the parent first of all got to show up at home.
Yep.
And I think each one of us can say, hey, my parents showed up at home, because if I did something at school, they're not physically there, but mentally in our mind, they have shown up, even to a point as being an adult as where we are now. There are some things that because our parents showed up at home, it would all come back to our remembrance. And dealing with kids and having so many of the kids now, back then, our parents showed up because before we went to preschool and kindergarten, we knew how to spell our name. We knew how to count to at least 10. Right. I knew my mama's name was Jewel. Right. They couldn't ask me, what's your mama's name? Mama.
Right.
And they 5. But what is your name? What is your mom's name? Mama. What's your daddy's name? Daddy. But in case of emergency, who we call? Mama. We knew our address before we went. So we were showing up then. I think we're thinking about showing up. It's such a big, how about let's just show up in the basics first? True. Let's show up in the basics first. But now, this is just, honestly, even coming here, better edit that. But most of the children are on some type of medicine. And every child is on some type of medicine. But do you know why? Because the parents said they got too much energy when they come home. They're going to have energy. When we got out of school, we hurry up, went home, changed clothes, played football in the backyard. Basketball, we had to be told when to come in the house. They are being told when to go out of the house. Please go out the house. Go do something. Go do something. And I'll be honest, even Robin was a project to me. My children was a project. And I learned it from a white person and a white teacher. And I said, you know, let me ask you something. Why does it seem like white children learn faster than black children? I said, Kira, they really don't. The problem is when your black child, or the black child, come to school, he has to be deprogrammed before he is programmed. And you say, well, why? Because we let them say do, fo, and we know it's incorrect. And then you, moo, come on, moo, choo choo, moo, and this is what we talk. They don't talk to their children like that. They talk to them even in the womb. They're starting to recognize words. Only thing we're recognizing is moo, choo choo. Now we're saying fo, do, and they said now spell the word out, f, and we have to be deprogrammed because we're relaxed at home. So even with Robin, I would get angry. Don't talk baby talk to her. If you're gonna say go to the door, go to the door. Now go to the door. Speak correctly to her. All of my children, every one of them, don't speak baby talk to them. My grandchildren don't speak baby talk to them.
And that makes a difference too in child development.
But now they talk too much. At 6 years, 8 months old, and it blew them away. I think it was almost close to a year, I guess. Kiara was in the hospital. They were sticking her with a needle, and she was saying, I'm mad. And they called all of the doctors in to say, listen at this little girl. And they thought that it was going to change, and they thought it was something different that they were saying. They never told what the other one heard. They said, listen to what she's saying. I'm mad. They were sticking her with 7 times every hour. They could not believe that. I can remember if she was almost a year. But she was already expressing how she felt. Because she understood the words. And she didn't have to be deprogrammed before she was programmed. Watch many of our parents were on the floor. Chimia, Momo. They don't know their mom's name. They don't know their last name. What's their second name? What is your last name? I don't know second name.
And a lot of people don't know the importance of parenting too, because that's going to be how they move forward in relationships as an adult. You know, you want the baby name, hey babe, hey boo, hey choo-choo, and you don't love me if you ain't talking to me in my language, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So that makes sense. And like you said, you're getting ahead of the game. Teach them at home. And even if you do say fo, I need you to understand that say for. You know, and I say fo, I say do, I say all that.
We all say that.
But I know how to spell. And I ain't never been retarded or slow or none of that. So I get it, but I was taught that, and there are children who don't get it, and you're setting them up for a struggle because now it's somebody else got to come in and do the job that you don't do.
Yeah. Exactly. Even to a point of manners.
Yep.
Do you know that now, even at the age that we teach in after school, we cannot make them say yes sir and yes ma'am. You don't have to you cannot make them say that. But because it is set up as a biblical based school, we can. But anybody else, you cannot make them say yes sir. You can't make them say excuse me.
And I think that kind of goes back to the importance of black school systems. You know, the integration of things, it really took away from us understanding and building on our culture. Not saying that the European thought constructs didn't have something to offer, but we have literary genius, scientific genius, mathematicians that all had something to contribute to our level of thought.
But can I say this?
Yes, sir.
From experience, the biggest problem we have is not with the Caucasian people or the Caucasian kids that go here. The problem that we have is from that young black man, that young black man, that we express, hey, this is what your child. But what they do to them? Nothing. We would show them even the film. The child just came and hit her for no reason. Well, y'all must have cut the film out because she had to do something because my child won't do that. And you going to a school where you know the staff is 100% black. You know that the staff is going to take care of your child. But the biggest problem we have is because we are in protection mode, which goes back to, I hope I don't change it, but it goes back to what I saw today. Optimistically, I understand that we did something good, but there is still something deep-seated in each one of us that we're going to have to deal with. Because I think it was, at the point, it went well, but at some point, it was still about, I'm waiting on my opportunity. If we're all going, we're talking about being free and all of this, what you may need to be free from, I may not need to be free from. What causes you to have peace, I may have already got that peace. But once we respect one another, once we respect, one another, then we can work with one another. You know, and this is no secret. I told her. At one point, I didn't like Brother Creighton's dad. I didn't even know why. It's just what I heard. I don't know. I ain't gonna know nobody else like him. Why I don't like him? But it was because it's what I heard or things that are around me. And then when I got to know him, I'm like, oh my God, we like this. I'd have beat him in pool 50 times. No, but but that's where we are, because we can't accept the difference in people. And I'm gonna be quiet. Isn't it funny how we don't ever want anybody to dress like us?
Oh, when we go out,
we don't want anybody to have anything on like us. But when we come into these settings, we want everybody to be just like us.
You know, one of the things that I can't remember what his name was. I think it was Jeremy, where he was like, "We need to move our community forward. We need love, servanthood." She said trust, but I wanted to add grace. We definitely have to come to another level of grace when we see each other. You know, how many times am I supposed to forgive this person? 70 times 70. Dr. Miles Monroe said, so when somebody do something to you, start counting. Because you're not going to meet that 490.
Yeah.
You know, and these conversations are great opportunities for us to open up space for grace. You know, being able to see things from, it's true. We probably don't all have the same specific things, but to create an alliance, it's not saying that you have, we both need the same things all the time. Sometimes it can be, you have what I need and I have what you need, and let's barter, you know.
And it could also be, you have what I need, but he got what you need, but I need to get with him so he can get you something so that I can provide to him.
Right.
And it could also go bigger, you
know?
But
Relationship.
we need each other, like, regardless.
And that's us working together right there.
Right. That's right. And that's at that point you have Brother Creighton that deals with law here. And it's funny how they were kind of just right across from each other. He has this study with law how he is. I believe that Brother Creighton can take something from it. Okay, I can see that. But at the same time, you got to say, hey, well, you know what now? Okay, well, let's take from each other. That's good. Like you said, in a perfect world.
Thank y'all again for coming out. Like, your presence meant so much, and I'm glad that we were all able to come together and just kind of identify some of the key things that we are battling with amongst this melanated community. I'm proud of you guys for just being where you are in your own walk and in your own lives. Thank y'all for showing up. Thank you for showing up. And I'm glad to know that we have an attorney on board. I'm glad to know that we have a therapist. We have somebody to take care of our children. We have pastors and spiritual leaders. So, and brothers and sisters in Christ as well, that we can all come together and build something monumental and to continue our legacies.
Right.
Thank y'all again for coming out, and thank y'all for chiming in to the House of Wealth Table Talk conversation.